And welcome inside the Peterson Event Center. Jeff Hathorn with the Panthers head coach Jeff Capel. Jeff, let's start with that game over Louisville. It's funny, at halftime, Curtis Aiken turned to me and said, Pitt's got this game. It's the matchup. Like, he liked the flow of the first half. He says, you know, they're going to pull away in the second half, and he was right. What did you like about that game?
Well, I thought it was the best game that we've played as far as the attention to detail of the scouting report, of understanding the personnel, of understanding exactly what we were trying to do defensively with our game plan, and really executing that at a very, very high level. Louisville was a team coming in that was averaging about 76 points a game, and to hold them well under that average speaks to how locked in and dialed in we were defensively. And I thought that led to us really being efficient on the offensive end with our execution, getting the ball inside, creating fouls, getting to the free throw line, and guys stepping up, making big plays.
Burton had 20 and 8. Hughley had 19 and 7. Mo had 10 and 8, and Femi had 10, 4 and 4. Like, how important is filling those stat lines for you?
Well, it's huge. We have obviously struggled to score at times, really, for the whole year. And so if we can get where it's spread out and guys are playing at a high level, that certainly gives us a greater opportunity to have success and to win. I thought we really drove the ball well. I thought we shared the basketball, obviously getting it inside to John, him drawing fouls that create so many other opportunities for the other guys, because it's at times can be a challenge to defend him one-on-one without fouling. And so I thought, again, cutting, passing, when they did try to double, it wasn't as aggressive or as intense maybe as another team that we've played. But I just thought we did a really good job of having great spacing, executing. But I think it all stemmed from our defense, how locked in we were on that end. We were communicating at a very, very high level, and I thought that led to us overall just playing well.
Of course, I mentioned the stats of the 4 starters, but you got contributions from a lot of different guys in that game.
We did, and again, they don't show up in stat sheets. So I thought our bench was outstanding. I thought they screened well. I thought they cut well. Noah had an opportunity to finish, and he finished. But I thought those guys created some opportunities for the other guys to step up and make shots by how they screened, how they rolled out of the screen, maybe keeping a basketball alive on an offensive rebound. I just thought there were big plays, and everyone was locked into Pitt and what we have to do to win.
Last night, it seemed like there were times where you played 20 seconds or so of good defense, and then boom, there's an open shot. What do you attribute that to?
Well, Virginia's a really difficult team to play against because it requires you to be mentally and physically tough every possession. And if you're not, they make you pay for it. First of all, the style in which they play. They're going to be incredibly patient offensively, and they're going to be diligent with how they run their stuff. You know what's coming, but they're going to screen hard. They're going to cut hard. And so it's important that you stay dialed and locked in, but then you have to get the rebound. If you force a miss, because if you don't, if they get an offensive rebound, they're going to pull it back out, and they're going to make you defend again for the whole 20 seconds. They're a team that's very, very comfortable playing with a short shot clock. What I mean, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, and under. And in the first half, we gave up 10 offensive rebounds. And so you can't do that. And then we had 8 turnovers in the first half. And so those were the 2 areas in the first half that I thought really, hurt us. I thought we defended very well the first 16 minutes, and I think it was 51 seconds. With 3 minutes and 9 seconds left in the first half, we were up, I think it was 22-17. And Mo picked up his second foul. We had a different lineup because Femi had 2 fouls as well, so we had an odd lineup. And I just didn't think we closed the half well. They scored 12 points in the last 3 minutes and 9 seconds. And then that led to the second half of us not defending well. But they're a team that you have to be mentally and physically locked in for the whole time. And unfortunately, we didn't do that.
Coming up, a transfer from Staten Island who's had some of the biggest highlight plays of this year for the Panthers. Mohamed Ogi is going to join us as we continue. It's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Transfer from Stony Brook, Mohamed Ogi has scored in double figures in 7 of his last 10 games. And I noticed your first time down. This is pretty cool, isn't it, down here?
Yeah, it's really nice. I especially like the little bridge design, you know?
You didn't know as you guys were running upstairs, people were doing stuff down here that were nothing about basketball.
Yeah.
What has it been like kind of for you settling in? How long did it take you to kind of get a feel for campus, Pittsburgh?
Well, campus, firstly, I don't think it took that long. Similar to New York, I think it's a good balance, you know. You do have downtown, which is a city, urban style. It's kind of like New York City, but then over here it's not that different from Staten Island. You know, you have these little suburbs, and it's a quiet, calm area. Then that's something that I really like about coming here to Pitt. So it didn't really take that long to adjust. And when it comes to the team and the camp and like the players and everything like that, same. A lot of these guys had a familiar feeling. You know, obviously, I think one of the first people I connected with was JB, just the fact we kind of similar situations, transfers and everything like that, and him being an older guy was someone that I can easily connect with. And then even the rest of the guys, Femi being from New York, that was easy. And the guys just for some reason just had a feeling of familiarity, you know, something that I think is a great part of, you know, the way we click and everything. So, you know, it wasn't really that hard to adjust, and I didn't think it took that long.
How excited were you for the opportunity to kind of prove your game at this level?
I was really excited. You know, that was one of the main reasons I chose to come here. I wanted to play in a Power 5 conference, and, you know, ACC I felt would fit my play style the most. Being at Stony Brook, whenever we had high major games, you know, games against pretty big schools, you know, that kind of ramped me up a little bit because it was always a level that I felt like I could compete at. You know, it wasn't where I was at the time. So coming here and being able to compete at this level every single game, you know, was something I was really excited for.
We've seen you with your game over the last month really grow, especially offensively, but also defensively. Is it just a matter of kind of getting used to guys, getting used to the system and fitting in that regard?
Yeah, you know, I think I had to get a better feel for it. Like you said, coming to this conference has its challenges, you know, one being the size, you know, every single night going up against guys similar height, 6'7", 6'9", 6'10", and the physicality is different, you know. The pace is a little bit faster. So, you know, I think it took some time for me to do some adjusting and kind of getting familiar and getting my feet on the ground. And I think once that happened and once things started clicking, I felt a little bit more comfortable and I was able to, you know, just go do what I do.
You mentioned meeting these teammates, now being through a couple of months of games. Have they been what you thought, and how close do you think you are to being where you want to be?
They're exactly who I thought they would be, you know. These are a bunch of guys who just, you know, have great personality and everything like that. You know, guys who have goals and things they want to achieve. And, you know, that's a good thing to have as a basketball player in general. You know, you want to have some kind of motive or some kind of reason to do what you do. They're hard workers too. You know, we got guys who get in the gym extra, you know, like, for example, use a guy like who just got put on scholarship. He's one of the hardest workers I know on the team, you know, coming in early at the gym, 8 o'clock in the morning, you know, when we're in the weight room, pushing the most weight and everything like that, you know. And that's kind of the theme of the guys on the team. We have a bunch of guys who get in the gym, you know, put in extra work in themselves, you know, because they kind of want to achieve something out of this. So, you know, I think that was a really good thing to have for a team.
You had a very amazing transformation to your body over your high school career.
Yeah.
I want to discuss that as we continue. Mohamed Ogi is with us here on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. And we are joined by Mohamed Ogi, the transfer from Stony Brook, from Staten Island, 6'11". And I was reading, Matt Pliska's notes are impeccable. And I was reading over there, you grew 10 inches in your high school career?
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. You know, people have that same reaction. People I haven't seen in years when they see me for the first time and they see how tall I am. It's kind of crazy, you know.
First off, for your parents, like, they must have been tired of buying you clothes and shoes.
My mom really, because I mean, at that age, I think already a size 13, but I wasn't that tall. But then it was like every single year, you know, like the clothes I had bought just a year before I can wear no more. Especially the pants. The pants were the hardest things, and even now, like I just gotta look online to find pants that actually fit me.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's great. Now, that can be awkward when you're When did you finally feel like you grew into your body?
Um. Honestly, probably not until my senior year because I think my growth spurt really started happening towards the end of my sophomore year. Uh, Towards the end of my sophomore year, I think I finally hit like around like 6 foot 6'1", and then throughout that summer, I think I came back my junior year around like 6'4", 6'5". And at first, it was tough because I wasn't used to it at all. Like being that tall, constantly getting stared at and everything. I think my anxiety was pretty bad back then. It got so bad to that at one point I stopped going to the supermarket with my mom because
Really?
yeah, I would always get asked, how tall are you, this, and that. And at the time, I wasn't used to it, so I was really uncomfortable and everything. Now, I'm used to it. People ask how tall I am, or if I play basketball, and I tell them like, "No, I'm a swimmer," or something like that, just to joke around. But it took a year or two to really get comfortable and get used to it.
It's so funny. Amanda and I used to do a show with Ramon Foster, who's a former Steeler, and he's
Mhm.
about 6'7", 300 and some pounds. And he said the same thing. He'd go to a supermarket and people would look at him like, I know you. And he's like, yeah, I'm a swimmer. You saw me on the Olympics. And he said people would just be like, and then sometimes he'd say he's a golfer.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I was at the Masters, and just to throw people off. But when you finally, so you start as a guard, really,
Mhm.
and then developed. Were coaches wanting you to like, hey, forget about this, or were they working with you to be kind of what you are now, a wing that's very versatile? You could drive or you can shoot threes.
Well, I didn't play varsity basketball when I was in high school, and in a way, I think that was a blessing in disguise. 'Cause I feel like you said, if I had played, my game might have been different than what it was now. My trainer at the time, passed away, Ed Watkins. He recognized I was gonna be tall from a young age. He used to tell me and my dad, you could see it in my legs. So from at that age, throughout all that time I was working out with him, we continued to just work on my guard skills and everything like that. He figured, if I'm gonna grow and get tall, why not retain these guard skills and in the future develop a big man skill set if I need to.
You play violin, or you did play violin.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
still?
No, no. So fourth and fifth grade, I played violin, and then once I got to middle school in sixth grade, I joined the orchestra, and we were able to choose the instruments we wanted. So there was violin, viola, cello, and bass. I chose the viola because it was bigger in size and had like deeper notes. And I just like doing it. At the time, I was really those are my two main things: orchestra and basketball. And really, I wasn't all that committed to basketball. Yeah, I wasn't playing with any teams or anything. So it was a point where I thought that maybe orchestra was going to be what I was going to end up doing growing up. And then once I got into high school and had my growth spurt, I ended up quitting like around my junior year because I was a 6'6" violist. So like
I'm
it
trying
was
to picture you like first chair sitting up front, and there's a bunch of parents trying to see their kids around you.
Yeah, and then every day after school, my friends would want to play basketball and go to YMCA, and I feel so left out because I had rehearsal and everything, and it just got to a point where I had to give it up. But I always told myself, sometime down the line that I would buy one just to see, if it's something I still like.
What is next after you're done here at playing basketball at Pitt? What's next for you?
Um, I think y'all want to obviously look at the professional route, whether that is the NBA or overseas. I feel like it's been crazy because I feel my route to getting here now, I always had that as a dream playing professional basketball, but the fact that I'm here now and I'm getting closer and closer and it's becoming a possible reality, it's crazy to think about.
Oh, it is. Well, hey, Mo, thanks for joining us. We
Appreciate it.
Mohamed Ougi joining us. Another guy, similar body type, who played 8 years overseas professionally, Levon Kendall, former Panther, is going to join us next as we continue. It's Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. So you find out something interesting about your guys, Jazz, and I know you're a Jazz guy.
Yeah, he's fascinating. I mean, he really, really is. Every time I talk to him or hear him talk or an interview, I feel like I find out something new about him. He's such a great kid, and he's a guy that I wish we had for more than 1 year, not just because of his talent and because of what I think he could be, but just he's such a great kid and a joy to be around every day.
What is that process like? I mean, coaches are educators, and when you get to sit down and get to dive into some of these guys and find out fascinating stuff, how much do you enjoy that part of the job?
I love it. It's one of the things, to be honest with you, that I miss because it's harder and harder, I think, today to have genuine relationships with kids because it's so easy for them to leave, and if sometimes if they don't hear what they want to hear, and if you're telling them the truth, they may not accept the truth, and it's easy to leave to go somewhere where someone's going to tell you what you want to hear. One of the things that I've always tried to do is establish the relationships where they understand I care about them more than just for what they can do basketball. And I think if you're able to do that, then you're able to have at times when you have to have these hard conversations. One of the things my father used to always tell me when I was growing up, and I've tried to really live by this my whole life, he used to always say, if you really care about someone, I mean, truly care about someone and love someone, there are two things you will always do. Number one, you'll always believe in them. And number two, you'll always tell them the truth. And I grew up with a dad that was brutally honest. I never had to guess where I stood or how he felt. One of the reasons I chose to play for Coach K is that when I first met him and had a conversation face to face with him, he reminded me of my father. And it was brutal honesty. And so for me, that's what I always liked. And Mo is a guy that you can have that with. He doesn't take it personal. He understands it's coming from a place of love and a place of me and us as a coaching staff trying to help him get better.
Jeff, it'd be tempting to not be that way, to just tell people what they want to hear. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously,
a lot of people do it.
What keeps you from
I can't lie to them. That's just me. Like Jeff, I can't look you in the face and tell you something that's not true. I just, that's not who I am. I'm not, and some people say, well, it's selling a dream, it's selling this, but if like I tell our guys this, if we're in a game, because I think our game is different from any other sport, just because it's this constant. You get a break every 4 minutes, but it's not like a defense where you can go sit down and you may be on the sidelines for 15 minutes and you're looking at film or looking at stuff, or you're on offense and you're off, or you're huddling up every possession. Our thing is like this. And we have to be able to have these hard conversations in real time. So if I'm saying to one of my guys it's a timeout and I go up to him or we're in the huddle and I'm saying, he can't guard you, take him. He can't guard you. We're coming to you every time. Just keep going or whatever. Like, they want to hear that. But if I'm in a timeout and I'm saying, hey, man, you're not playing hard. Like, you're being soft right now. Like, you're really not competing. That's the truth in that moment. It's the same thing as the other one. I'm just trying to get you to switch it. That's all it is. I'm trying, and I owe you that. And so our profession is full of people that just say things just to say them. And I understand that, and sometimes that works for a lot of people, but just who I am at my core, I can't do that.
So when you're recruiting, how do you make sure you're finding a kid that will accept that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge, to be completely honest with you, especially now. The thing that I try to do, look, every kid's dream is to be a professional basketball player. I understand that. I had those same dreams. I never want to, destroy anyone's dream, but you have to understand there's a process. Like I tell guys, and again, this is not bragging, I've just been incredibly fortunate and blessed. Besides Coach K, besides John Calipari, I don't know if there's another coach in college basketball currently that has coached more pros than me. Whether it's a VCU, Oklahoma, Duke, USA basketball, and things like that. So I've been around it. I've seen them. I know what it takes. I know how they work. I know the commitment, the discipline, and things like that. And so it's my job to try to help you understand that. It's my job. And so, again, I'm never trying to destroy. This is what you want to do. Well, I want to help you get there.
Right.
And so you have to understand the commitment that it takes, the discipline that it takes, the sacrifice that it takes. You got to understand it's serious business. It's hard work. It's not easy to do that. It's 30 guaranteed spots every year, and all 30 of them don't come. They don't come and play in that league. That's the 30 first-round picks. It's a league of 450 players. That's what the NBA is. So you have to be the elite of the elite to do that, to have the honor of doing that. And you have to understand the work that comes along with that. Some people want to hear it. Some people don't want to hear it. And sometimes they think the grass is greener somewhere else. The thing that I tell them, no, even if you decide to leave or you go somewhere else, even if this coach is telling you this, when you get there, they're trying to win. And so all the message is going to be, you got to sacrifice.
Right.
There has to be discipline. You have to work. You can't run from the work. And so, again, sometimes it just depends on the delivery of everything.
Well, coming up, we're going to talk to Levon Kendall. He walked into the Pitt program with Julius Page, Jerron Brown, Carl Krauser as the seniors. And you can imagine what it would be like to walk in that group, especially being from another country, and to come here and do that. We'll discuss that with him as we continue. It's a Jeff Capel Show here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. During his career, he shot 46% from the floor, 51% from inside the arc, 155 offensive rebounds in his last 2 seasons, with 63 blocks, 52 steals, 436 points. Levon Kendall is joining us. Hey, Levon, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Say hi to Coach Capel.
How's it going, Coach?
How you doing, man? Appreciate you coming on with us.
I'm good. Yeah, hey, my pleasure.
Yes.
When people ask you what it was like to play at Pitt, what do you tell them?
Well, that's a good question. I think a lot of times, being up in Canada, we have a bit of perception of the March Madness and NCAA and the whole scene. So I usually just paint that picture for people, and I say it's kind of like the movies, but not quite as crazy. Sort of the short answer of it for us folks north of the border have a little less exposure than say maybe you guys down in the States.
Well, you mentioned north of the border. Basketball has come a long way in Canada. How much do you feel like it's changed just over the time since you were on national teams?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's been really great to see. I was kind of one of the first generation of kids coming up with some of the elite development and the program development here in Canada, and now to see just the presence in the NBA, the presence in the NCAA is really amazing, and the game's certainly taken off here. And popularity, just with the Raptors winning a couple of years ago, there's definitely a bit of a basketball fever happening up here, and it's really great to see all that translate into representation for Canada at various levels and even overseas. And it's definitely cool to see that happening, and seeing the the hope and inspiration for the kids too, the younger kids in high school still.
And we were discussing earlier. I mean, you walk in as a freshman, and there's like Julius Page, Jerron Brown, Krauser, Troutman, Moore. Like, what was it like to come from Vancouver and all of a sudden you're in with all these guys from the East Coast that have played some serious basketball?
Well, talk about a culture shock. I often tell kids and people. I mean, there's a couple of pretty formative moments, because I was pretty introverted, pretty shy. Once I got to know people, I would open up, and I had a small dose of that going from elementary school. I grew up in the poorer, more immigrant side of town, and then I went across town to the west side, which is all the sort of rich kids, and that was my first real eye opener as far as being totally different and out of my element at 13, and that really getting that was kind of first dose of that, and then going from being a big fish in a small pond here in Vancouver, one of the best players in Canada. We won a bunch of provincial championships, and a lot of time playing against short Asian guys, and really not a ton of athleticism in the province. And then I get out to Pittsburgh, and it's like, okay, here I am. My roommate's from inner city Buffalo. There's me and a couple other white guys on the team. Most of the guys are from New York, and it was kind of a sink or swim situation. And they were all great guys, but there certainly wasn't any. Nobody was taking any niceties, and Ben Allen was the coach at the time.
You're not going to take it easy on the new guy.
No, definitely not. I mean, the thing I heard the most my freshman year was get in the weight room. It was like blood and
Levon, what
scratches and ripped jerseys and get in the weight room, Levon. And so, okay.
At one point, you were the team's defensive player of the year on a team that prided itself on defense. What got your love? What made you a good defensive player?
That's a good question. I think a lot of it was certainly my unselfishness. Just willing to help everybody out. I give a lot of credit. I was a goalie in soccer growing up, which meant position was a big part of that, but also just constantly watching the field and talking a lot, and so I think that really translates. I had teammates that would bug me because I never shut up on defense. I was always talking. And that was a habit I picked up from soccer. I played on a good soccer team, and I didn't have to make a lot of saves, but I was spent a lot of time telling guys where the ball was, positions, encouraging them, whatever it was. So that just kind of came naturally to me on defense. So I was always talking about screens and back cuts and help, and it was just something I didn't have to think about. So I think that aspect just kept me really engaged on the defensive end, and then I was willing to, rotate and able to see the plays develop, and also fairly mobile for a big guy, so I was comfortable, hedging screens and getting over to the help side and staying on my toes and stuff like that. So.
Well, you guys played some tremendous defense. Yes. Congrats on your career playing overseas for 8 years. What you did, you won 105 games here at the University of Pittsburgh during your career. Thanks for joining us today, and hopefully we'll get the chance to do this again.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, hey, my pleasure. Good luck this year, and
Thank you.
Nice talking with you guys.
All right. Thanks
All right,
again.
Coming up, Panthers back on the road on Saturday. We'll preview that game with Clemson coming up next. It's Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
Gonna take it all the way for the stop. What an atmosphere it is in this building.
Season tickets are now available. Panthers trek to South Carolina to face Clemson, 10-8 on the season, 2-5 in ACC with wins over NC State and Virginia.
Yep.
And they're known for their defense, but they've got some things going offensively this year too.
Yeah, they do. They have some guys back, and Dawes and Hunter Tyson, I should say, that are back for them. And then P.J. Hall has really made a big jump as a sophomore, big guy, leading their team in scoring and rebounding. They have a couple of graduate transfers. So they're older, they're physical, and they're very, very well coached.
How much is that matchup going to be with John, with P.J., and his ability to play defense?
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting because I haven't seen them double much, but we do anticipate them doing that with us to try to keep P.J. on the floor.
How different philosophically is Brad Brownell from what you saw yesterday with Virginia?
Well, I think it's some of the same, philosophies. I just think, Virginia has more of a program as far as the older guys. They've won this league 5 times. They've won a national championship, so they have that DNA, and they're just a really physical, grind you out team.
It sounds like another game in the mud.
No question.
With
absolutely.
these two teams.
Yes, absolutely.
Coming up, it's Saturday pregame with Bill, Curtis, and Cale coming up at 5:30. Our thanks to Mohamedou Guy for joining us, to Levon Kendall, to Matt Plizga, Amanda King, Bill Steinbach back at our studios. A reminder, 5:30 pregame, Panthers at Clemson, 6 o'clock tip-off. You've been listening to the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.